would be because I forgot to swap over my little switch that goes from headsets to speakers. Thank you, Sarah, for pointing that out. Luminous, welcome to the show. HN, welcome. Addison, get audio? I got audio. Thanks for the advice. And welcome to the show. Ellis. Ellis. Hey, man, what's up? About that. Jason, hello. Ellis, 9576, there's your shout out. Obi-Wan, hello. Obi-Wan. I like it. Hello. And Hydro Lover, howdy. So, as I mentioned, first off, I'm Rodney Brown. I'm the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter as a cosplay photographer on the Facebook thing, burly adopter on Twitter and a couple of other places. So, and as I mentioned, when you couldn't hear me, I'm by myself tonight because everybody's off doing other things. Recovering from this past weekend, everybody had a lot of stuff to do with MegaCon Orlando and a lot of other things. And people are at classes, people are busy, off on trips, so it's me. That means I can get through a bunch of things faster than normal and add one or two more topics than we might have been doing in the last couple of months. So we're going to start right off the bat with this, our first topic, and that is a screenshot from Mortal Kombat 11, but the news isn't about Mortal Kombat 11. It's about the Mortal Kombat movie that's been rumored, that's been out there. Addison, I do not play Fortnite. And the rumor's been confirmed in sort of the weirdest way you can imagine, and that is the the premiere of South Australia, the state of South Australia in Australia, put out a press release about the fact that the movie was going to be filmed there, which is kind of weird. It's going to be filmed in Adelaide, which is in the state of South Australia, but it put out, the director is somebody named Simon McQuoid. It's going to be the first time this person's directed a feature film, but it is produced by James Wan, as has been sort of known for quite a while, and James Wan was the producer and director of the recent Aquaman film, which was a big hit for DC, much as I was not a huge fan. Sarah, you can say, as long as you're not swearing, anything you want if about your new video or whatever in the chat. I may not react to it, but feel free to put that out there. Elizabeth, hello. So, Mortal Kombat 11, or Mortal Kombat the movie, now I'm making myself confused. Mortal Kombat the movie is in the works. It is going to be filmed in Australia. This does not have a release date attached to it, since it hasn't even started filming, and we don't even really know the cast. We do know that the screenplay was written by Greg Russo. Without looking that up on IMDb, I don't really know. The name isn't familiar to me, so I'm not sure what Greg Russo has done in the past. But it's coming, folks. And produced by James Wan, so this is not going to be a super cheesy 1980s flick version. This is going to have a big budget and hopefully be pretty impressive. We'll see where that comes out. Yes, Addison. No, I don't. Sorry, you. And I'm pronouncing that Addison as opposed to Addison or whatever. Hopefully, I'm getting that right. But no, I do not play Fortnite. But thanks for asking. Moving on to our next topic, and this is kind of one just for me. I doubt that anybody out there remembers any of this stuff, but that is the cover of Iron Jaw 1 from Atlas Publishing. Atlas was a comic book imprint way back in the 70s that was founded to try to take some of the thunder away from the big two then, DC and Marvel, long before for Image ever got started. But it did, before Image was around, sort of the Image model. It recruited a bunch of very talented creators, particularly artists, and it was run by Larry Lieber, who is in fact Stan Lee's brother, Stanley Lieber being Stan Lee's real name, and it did pretty well for a few years with things like this sort of Conan sort of Kull knockoff called Iron Jaw, because he's got a metal jaw, which is kind of probably tough for you to tell in that. But it had superheroes like Phoenix, which is actually a pretty good book. It had Grim Ghost, which was a decent book. It did not last more than a few years. It was not a huge success, although there were some very talented creators involved in it. Larry Hama, who went on to make a great deal of fame doing the G.I. Joe books. But the news is Paramount, not to be left behind in all of the Marvel and Sony success, has licensed Atlas Comics' library. And it's going to try to make movies, superhero movies, fantasy movies, supernatural movies, or whatever, out of this stuff. It's working with the Oscar-winning writer Akiva Goldsman, who wrote the most recent adaptation of I Am Legend, wrote the adaptation of the Da Vinci Code. Jake, welcome to the show, and wrote the adaptation of the Da Vinci Code and a bunch of the Batman movies. Unfortunately, Goldsman is teaming up with Stephen Paul, who was the producer behind Ghost in the Shell and God Save Us, the original Ghost Rider. So, who knows? This may rise all the way to the level of like Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider. I hope they do better than that. Howard Chaykin had a book called Scorpion, which is essentially a Dominic Fortune clone, which was also a Howard Chaykin book. I'm kind of surprised he didn't sue himself. But that was a pretty decent title. And, even though they're knockoffs, Iron Jaw and Wolf the Barbarian are all Conan knockoffs. So there were some good stories there. So let's see what Paramount does with this. No sense of when they will actually start producing any of the stuff, if they do, because they just licensed it, and it could just sit there in a vault. Nobody could come up with a decent script. Although Goldsman is a Oscar-winning scriptwriter. So we'll see. Moving on to our next topic. That right there is one of the very first images coming out of the upcoming Dark Crystal prequel. Again, probably a lot of you listening to this don't really remember Dark Crystal, but hopefully some of you have seen it long after it initially came out. I am, of course, old enough to remember the original. Basically, the Muppets do high fantasy. And this prequel, called Dark Crystal Age of Resistance, is a series that is going to premiere at the end of August, which is fantastic, on Netflix. 10 episodes, and it's a prequel to the 1982 movie. Voice cast is fantastic. Taron Egerton, Anya Taylor-Joy, and somebody who I don't know, Natalie Emanuel. I just saw that name in relation to something, and I can't remember. I'll try to remember it. Natalie Emanuel are the three Gelflings that sort of discover the secret behind the Skeksis' power and start their journey to create the rebellion that I think ultimately leads up to the splitting of the crystal. That's kind of a spoiler alert for the end of, or for Dark Crystal if you haven't seen it. But Louis Leterrier is going to be the director, or is the director. He did Now You See Me, Clash of the Titans, The Incredible Hulk, quite a few interesting movies. Unleashed, the last decent Luc Besson written movie, in my opinion. And so it looks like it's going to be pretty good. I like the looks of it. There are a ton of pictures that are available on Entertainment Weekly's site, EW.com. They got this first look. That's what the little logo is in the upper corner of the picture that's on your screen now. We'll bounce back here. I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. The original Dark Crystal was amazing as far as using puppetry techniques to create this high fantasy world. if you look at these images, the puppetry, the puppet designs, and so on are just fantastic. Obviously, technology has advanced incredibly. I'm assuming they are, in fact, mixing some CG in with live action puppetry. If you look at all of the dirt explosion going on behind the Skeksis here, I can't imagine that's actual live or all completely live action, or the backgrounds are all completely in a puppet scenario. But if they are, well, fantastic. And you can't get a better group of people than Henson Productions, the people who actually made all the Muppets. So check that one out, folks. I can recommend it. If you're going to watch it, do watch The Dark Crystal first, because I would imagine they'll probably introduce you to this world, but The Dark Crystal will do it, in one less than 2 hour movie. Our next topic, and I know there's a ton of people who are excited about this, who've been waiting for this for quite a long time. That, of course, is Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty's coming back in November, folks. Season 4. Adult Swim put out an announcement with the two of them making the announcement. So it's not a rumor. It's not anything that is possible, that it couldn't be true. It's coming right from the voices themselves. All you have to do is wait until November to get the first of the next season of the 70 new episodes that they signed on for back in March of 2018. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm a Rick and Morty fan. I'm not a Rick and Morty fandom fan. Let's hope there's less of the Szechuan sauce garbage that the fandom indulged themselves in as the seasons go forward. But even if there is, I'm not involved in it. As long as they don't cause a whole lot of trouble, I'm still going to watch Rick and Morty, because it's funny and it's interesting, and at times it's even tragic. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. And that's all there is to that one. It's November, no specific date, but we will get to see more Rick and Morty this year. So that's cool. There will be a Thanksgiving. Luminous News says, great, maybe there will be a Rick and Morty Thanksgiving episode. I think that would be hilarious. I can't imagine a more dysfunctional family sitting down for Thanksgiving than the Sanchez's. Whichever Sanchez's are actually in the household at any given time. And if you haven't watched Rick and Morty, you don't get that reference. But let's say Marvel did not invent the concept, or did not certainly execute the best on the concept of the multiverse. Rick and Morty probably has. Moving on to our next topic. This right here, folks, is something I'm very much looking forward to. That is, of course, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. We have more information about this series coming up. We have a director, Kerry Scogland, will direct the 6. There will be 6 episodes in this, what they're now calling a mini-series. Of course, Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan are in it. Sources tell Deadline, so this part is not confirmed. Sources tell Deadline that Daniel Bruhl, who played Zola in Civil War, and Emily Van Camp, who played Sharon Carter in Civil War, are in talks to join this series. We do have a date. It will air in August of 2020. So a year and a few months off. Their sources also have told this writer at Deadline that this will take place, spoiler alert, for Endgame. Until I do this, folks, if you haven't seen Endgame, plug your ears. In 3, 2, 1. Spoiler alert, apparently Falcon will have Captain America's shield from the end of Avengers Endgame, and it will be part of his character in the miniseries, which would indicate it takes place after Endgame. But again, this is a rumor that sources have told the writer of this article on Deadline. So there's that. And we're clear. We're off the spoiler alert. I can't wait for this, but frankly, I can't wait for any of these things that they've announced on the Disney Plus streaming service. It really, all of the series, WandaVision, The Loki series, all of them look fantastic, considering they're basically taking both the acting and the creation talent from the MCU and putting them on these series. And right out of the gate in November when it launches, The Mandalorian, um, Pedro Pascal and directed by Jon Favreau. Yeah, it's that's $7 that absolutely is coming out of my wallet every month for that series. Just can't wait. Or for that streaming service. Let's put it that way. Can't wait. All of those series. Um, and anybody who's in that chat there, because Jake, I'm seeing this Addy by any chance if you've seen Endgame. Jake, let's try not to mention anything I just mentioned that might become a spoiler, because I'd really hate to see that happen in a way that is visceral and painful for me. So moving on to our next topic. We now have an announcement about the return of Disenchanted. The second season of that series from Matt Groening, the creator of Simpsons, obviously, is coming September 20th. Now, I got to admit, I've never finished season 1. It didn't hold it for me. The jokes seemed so incredibly rushed. They seemed like some comic at a show that told he had 15 minutes, and then because some bigger comic came on and said, "Look, you got 5. Do your whole bit." They're just so fast that you can't even enjoy the funny, or I couldn't. And strained. I mean, some of them were really. It was like they were trying really too hard to hammer these jokes home, which is sad. Because I really was looking forward to this. I mean, the idea. I'm a high fantasy nut. High fantasy and comedy go together really well. For me, all the way back to like Piers Anthony books, and I was really looking forward to it and was kind of disappointed. So, those of you who liked Disenchantment, September 20th, it's coming back. Feel free to go check it out. I will probably try to finish season 1 so I can know what I'm talking about when I look at season 2, but not my fave. Among my faves, or at least I think is going to be my faves, is going to be this adaptation pictured right here. And that is, of course, a polar bear. That is specifically Yorick, the polar bear, the armored bear from His Dark Materials, the upcoming series that is going to be on HBO. And everybody said, of course, with Game of Thrones ending, HBO is desperate to find some sort of high fantasy, political thriller type that can fill in the gaps. And maybe they're counting on this, His Dark Materials. It looks fantastic. They just finally dropped a teaser trailer this week. The cast, if you've been following this, is wonderful. James McAvoy, Lin-Manuel Miranda. It looks really good. The people in it are top-notch, top-tier, and hopefully it will sort of wash the, and it's not really bad taste, it's sort of weak taste of the movie Golden Compass out of everyone's mouths. Golden Compass just didn't, it fell flat. One of the reasons it fell flat, I think, is because to get it to be as popular as they hoped it would be, they really toned down the anti-religious elements of Philip Pullman's books. And the unquestionable evil spreading throughout all of the different versions of reality that ultimately come together in his various books is organized religion, and specifically the Catholic Church. So, unfortunately, when the Golden Compass came out, they really toned that down, and it looks like that's not going to be what the HBO series is going after. It looks like they're going to be a pretty accurate adaptation of Pullman's books. So, and we get to see armored bears again. So, looking forward to that. That is coming up, coming soon. And by the way, this is a joint production between HBO and the BBC, so it's not just an HBO series. Don't know when it's premiering on either of those. That's not here in the article. Coming soon to both HBO and the BBC at the same time? I don't know. We'll have to see how they play that out. And as I said, we're doing this pretty quickly, folks, so we're on to our last topic. And I'm sure some of you out there have some opinions on this. You might not be able to tell because he almost always has fantastic hair, but that is Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is, and still a rumor, a very, very strong rumor, but still a rumor, it's not been confirmed by anybody, rumored to be the next Batman in the upcoming The Batman movie. And apparently it is still, according to Deadline anyway, there's still other people in the works. Nicholas Hoult, the Beast from the X-Men movies, among other things, is one of those that's on the short list. But as this particular bit of news came up almost a week ago, like one day after our show, it's been getting more and more clear that Pattinson is the top choice. And everything else, even the ones who are legitimately saying this is still in talks, are saying that it's just a matter of them, crossing the T's and dotting the I's. So, by the way, this image that you're looking at here, I tried to find one that didn't have his, trademark wavy hipster hair. And this is from the recent movie High Life, where he plays an astronaut, as you might be able to tell from what he's wearing. So this looks more like what I would picture a younger Batman, a younger Bruce Wayne, than any of the crazy wavy coiffed pictures that you see him at any red carpet event or anything like that. So that's why I chose this particular one. I gotta say, I'm really, really ticked off not ticked off. I am not surprised, but I am saddened at all of the negative reaction to this choice. I mean, memes have gone out all over the place about, one, what a silly choice it might be, but two, what a silly reaction that is. Going all the way back, Michael Keaton was a bad choice for Batman. Christian Bale was a bad choice for Batman. He got chosen for that right after all of the garbage with him screaming at a lighting technician on the Terminator movie he was in. Heath Ledger was a horrible choice for Joker. Just pick your poison. Ben Affleck was a horrible choice for Batman. All of those people did varying degrees of acceptable to absolutely fantastic jobs. And Pattinson is a much more interesting actor than just the one character he played in Twilight. Even more interesting than the one character he played in the Harry Potter franchise, who was Cedric Diggory. So, people out there who are complaining about this, stop it. It's just stupid. Guy did one role that he hates that everybody else hates, so now people hate him as an actor. Or people who think it's cool to just be that, edgy, hate him as an actor. Like, get over it. Learn from the past. Most of the choices that have been made for this character and the characters around him have been pretty solid. This will be fine, too. As a matter of fact, it may even be revelatory. I'm really hoping that this is a young Bruce Wayne, maybe not Batman Year One, although that would be an awesome live-action adaptation. DC, Warner Brothers, think about it. But like the cartoon series, The Batman, just shortly after Year One, a very young Batman still getting his feet under him, still getting the feel of what it's like to be a costume crime fighter. And I think Robert Pattinson was a good choice for that sort of younger Bruce Wayne / Batman. Not seeing any commentary whatsoever about this. Really? Is the internet the only place where people have strong opinions on this choice? Maybe choice? Rumored choice? So, since nobody seems to have any opinion on Pattinson as the Batman, I am going to wrap it up with a sort of a could we please, could we not. It's another news piece, but we did this a while back, and I don't really have an image to bring up for this. But Luminous, I have no opinion on Robert Pattinson. I think I have seen very little of him. A young Batman sounds good for a movie. There you go. If you've seen very little of him, thank you for not having an opinion. I have no opinion on whether or not he was good in Twilight because I tried. Good faith attempt. I tried to watch the first movie and made it 20 minutes in. So, and it wasn't him that was the problem. It was the writing. It was everything else. It was the writing mostly. But my opinion is based on, actually the only other thing I've seen him in is Cedric Diggory as Cedric Diggory in the Harry Potter series. So, moving back onto the topic that I was going to wrap this up with, and it is a news item, but it's also sort of a could we please or could we not. Stan Lee, the late Stan Lee's former business manager, has finally been actually charged with elder abuse. And folks, if you see anything like this, celebrity or not, it's sadly so common for really, really bad people to take advantage of the elderly as they get to a point where they can't quite do the same level of rational choice and judgment that they might have in their younger years. If you see anything like that, please tell somebody, report it somehow. It's horrible that this stuff goes on. And I really hope, if he is guilty and is convicted, that he goes away for a very, very, very long time. But, yeah, so that's my request, folks. Please, if you see anything like this, report it. And on that note, which is kind of a sad note, we're wrapping it up in basically a half an hour. Jake, yes, a new Batman would be nice, but what about the villains? So, I don't know about... I'd like to see a new villain enter the arena and duke it out against Batman. The previous ones seem so boring nowadays. There are rumors, and this has nothing to do with the rumor of Pattinson. This is much less substantiated rumors, but rumors that there might be two, and it might be like the second Tim Burton Batman. It might be a Penguin and a Catwoman. There are also rumors that there might be a Riddler involved. But again, those are all classic Batman villains. There have been, in recent years, very interesting, innovative Batman villains. Hush, which Warner Brothers and DC is turning that storyline into one of their animated movies. And Warner Brothers Animation kills it with their movies, even if their live action has a tendency to... Lumina says, I vote for Catwoman and the Riddler. That would be interesting. There is also a rumor that there's the possibility that they would gender bend or gender swap Penguin with the possibility of Melissa McCarthy being cast for it. There is a obvious history of casting a comedian to do Penguin. Danny DeVito just killed it in the second Tim Burton Batman. And Melissa McCarthy has recently shown amazing dramatic skills in basically her last two movies. So I think if they do that, it would be interesting to see them go down that road. I don't know about the idea, Jake, of creating a completely new villain. There's so much to mine in the Batman universe that it almost seems like it would be a waste to just drum up a new villain. Unless you're saying you don't want to see a really new and different take on a classic villain, which I can get. I don't mind those. Luminous, if the movie isn't good, we can write our own and cast matches Malone. Yeah. He would be awesome. I don't think he would do it since you will never ever see him outside of his mask. And that would kind of eliminate the whole idea of playing Bruce Wayne. But it would be a lot of fun. Anyway, folks. Thank you for all the excellent chat back and forth on the chat room. Thank you for tuning in. And next week, come on back for more nerd news here on Nerd Week Live on YouTube, brought to you by your friends at Nerd Caliber. I just picked my own nose with my finger there. That's what it looked like on my screen anyway. Rodney Brown, editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, and I am signing off, wishing you all a good week, a good weekend, and I will talk to you or chat with you and see you. I won't see you, you'll see me, next Tuesday. Bye-bye.